Manchester United 1, Brighton 3. Was that a shock?
No, not to anyone that watches football at this moment in time. Because, well, look, Manchester United...
So is that a reflection of where they are?
At this moment in time, yeah.
Booze at full time.
But you don't micromanage teams. This is a macro game as well. This is a 38-game season, not a 5-game season. And United this time last year had their head handed to them by Brentford.
Yeah, and got three losses in their first five now.
And got beaten by Brighton as well at the beginning of last season. And where did Brighton finish and where does Man United finish? Let's look at it in that context. What the real starkness of the argument is, look at how Brighton are being run and their recruitment policy with a different criteria and a different set of requirements. It is one thing walking into the dressing room of Brighton and the expectation of the Amex crowd. It is an entirely different thing walking into Manchester United and what goes on with the prism that the world looks at Manchester United through.
Why is it?
Because the scale of Manchester United.
No. You want to win. So Brighton are winning. Why aren't Manchester United?
I think the culture of the football club is wrong. I think it's been wrong for some time. And yes, in part, you attribute some of that to the Glazers.
The Glazers are responsible, says Gary Neville.
Well, he would do. That's his song. Right? And he'll sing that song until the day that they sashay out the door with a big bag of money.
Football is volatile, so results on the pitch can be erratic and cyclical. But if off-the-pitch stuff, including the owner's direction and leadership, are spot on, it gives you a better chance to succeed on it.
And that's a fair analysis. But it doesn't excuse people from their own individual performances when they've been given sufficient amount of resource to be better than what they currently are. The current regime has been given, as have previous regimes, whether that's Mourinho, whether it's Louis van Gaal, and even whether it was the luckiest Norwegian alive, they were given sufficient amount of resource to be better culturally. The problem with Man United is that culturally they've gone wrong in terms of the players. You'd never, ever have seen a situation 10 years ago. And it's, I know that I don't want to use the analysis of Ferguson, but you have to at times, because Jadon Sancho would never have had the audacity to bite back. I mean, first of all, probably Ferguson wouldn't have gone out in the media, and there would have been no necessity to do so, because I think the moment a manager does that, you're seeing that they're floundering.
Yeah.
But if he had not done it, there would have never been an inclination from a player that he would have the right to bite back, and seemingly, when called upon it, the right to double down and not retract his position on it.
And now they seemingly do, Simon. Sir Alex has gone. Now they seemingly do bite back. Ten Hag was asked afterwards, you're in a bit of a crisis. He didn't hang about with his answer.
No, but we have to be very disappointed and we have to be very annoyed with ourselves. Because at United, the demand is you win games.
Ten Hag's era, they've had 373 million spend. You'd expect better, would you not, Martin?
Well, he stepped in. He stepped in last season and had the confrontation with Ronaldo. The most important thing after that there is that when Ronaldo leaves the football club, you as the manager have to win. You have to win, because then that will be seen. If you don't win the football matches, you will see that the player has won the battle. Ten Hag won that. Whatever you say, he's won that battle.
He's won that, but he's not winning matches.
Just let me finish. So he's taken that on. So, and last season they won a trophy as well too. They won the League Cup, but people decried that competition a way back, but it's really important, and it has been important in the last number of years considering the teams that are winning it. So they've gone to win it. They finished in the top four last season. They're in the Champions League. Okay, now people were expecting a resurgence back to what Manchester United were.
Quite rightly.
Right, okay. So it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened. They are actually in disarray. If I can call disarray not a crisis at this minute, because you're into 5 games. They've lost 3 of the matches. They're not playing well, I have to say. Even the game that they won against Wolves, you would say that they were exceptionally lucky in that game. So there is definitely something wrong with the side. I will put it down to the fact is that, and Simon mentioned here about recruitment, and I don't think the recruitment has been fantastic. Let's be fair about it. I think there are a number of players playing for Manchester United at the minute who are not good enough to play for a Manchester United side vying for big competitions.
So whose feet do you lay that blame at? Ten Hag's.
Well,
he wanted those players in.
Well, that's true, and the manager ends up being responsible for the players that he brings into the football club.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to do. You will have to do better. At this minute, Manchester United don't look as if they're going to do better immediately. But again, it's very early in proceedings. It's not the start that they wanted at all. We know this here. The expectation was much higher. It hasn't materialised so far. But you're into 5 games of the season.
So they're not in a crisis, but they're in disarray.
They're definitely in disarray because there's no question they're not. They opened up very, very brightly against Brighton. There's no question about it. And Brighton scored a goal against the run of play. After that, that's your concern about them. Is the fact is that they didn't pull it round. Now, he can point out to the fact that the game against Nottingham Forest 2-0 down after 3 minutes in the match, and they were able to pull that round. That's it. But they shouldn't be having to make these big battles. They should be pressing against these sides so strongly they should be able to take them.
Okay, Simon, you said last week Ten Hag is not an elite manager.
Yeah. Yes.
Your opinion will not have moved, of course, after a result like that.
No.
Is it likely to move while he is at Manchester United?
Look, again, characterise it in a certain way. There are only a few elite managers because they are the guys that win things. They are the guys that are winning things. And whilst he's won a League Cup, and of course it's very dear to Martin's heart because he's won one himself, it is a peripheral tournament in conjunction.
4 times.
Fantastic, Martin. Great. But it's a peripheral tournament in conjunction with Man United's objectives. Yeah. Manchester United's objectives are to win the Premier League and to win the Champions League, and if worst case scenario, maybe to win an FA Cup. There, of course, is value in a League Cup. I'm not diminishing that achievement. But to win a trophy, you win a trophy. But he is not, to my mind, when I talk about elite, it's the guys that can legitimately win things. And I look at Guardiola clearly in that situation, and I look at Klopp, and then I look at the rest of them and say there's some very, very good managers in there that are just beneath that level, because he can't all be elite. Depends what you determine elite to be. For me, elite is like this saying of world-class. It gets thrown around like confetti.
Yeah, I agree.
There's only a few world-class players
I
around.
agree.
And every time someone plays well, he's world-class.
Yeah, but they ain't going to win the league this season, are they?
No, but whoever really thought they were going to? I mean, of course you start a football season as a Manchester United fan full of expectations. That's the nature of the beast of being a football fan. When you get promoted from the Premier League, you go there with expectations and you go there with enthusiasm. Then reality comes knocking on your
Manchester
door.
United, this huge iconic brand, if they're the untouchable, Simon, Manchester United should go into every season expecting to win the Premier League.
Yes.
But I asked a question. Would you consider Ranieri an elite manager?
No. But he won the Premier League with
But
Leicester.
he won the Premier League with Leicester City.
But he's the exception, doesn't prove the rule.
Right, okay. That's
okay. I'm wondering where Manchester United fans are this morning. I mean, you heard them there in that short but fairly concise answer. It's not a crisis. And Martin agrees it's not a crisis. But Manchester United are in disarray. And there's a Manchester United fan, Simon. Manchester United is a huge global brand. Manchester United, the football club, average.
Agreed.
Way behind Real Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool, City, Arsenal, and many more I could name. Yes, sure. On the money side of it, as a money-making operation, huge. Underwhelming today as a football club.
I made an observation. The thing is, what happens in football and life is that sometimes you allow yourself to be taken off path. I made an observation a year ago, and I haven't really changed from that observation, but I use an analogy that people use to ridicule, which is the fact that I thought he was a small man in a big suit and didn't look like someone that exuded the authority or the necessary level of control over this huge football club.
Yeah.
I haven't really changed my view. I know that he won the battle with Ronaldo. He won it by default. How did he win it? By Ronaldo setting it on fire, going on Piers Morgan's show and making sure he got out the door, not by going into a press conference and saying, I'm having no more of this.
Yeah.
He did it by default, by stealth, and maybe that's a way to do it, by a war of attrition, maybe. I think leaders take things on, if that were Brian Clough and he didn't fancy Ronaldo, I think Ronaldo would know from the get-go, from the outset, and everyone else would know about it.
That's true,
yeah,
Martin, isn't it?
Okay, yeah. Perception is reality.
That's true.
Again.
But 3 losses from the first 5 for Ten Hag. Martin said it. All right, no crisis, sure. But they're in disarray. United fans, where's your head with that this morning?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10. On AM, on DAB, via the TalkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. TalkSPORT.